Well, you're a singer-songwriter, you're a sculptor, you're an artist, but we thought we'd just like to talk to you on the show about the things you have been like. How does your singing and your art come together, and maybe you can give us some songs and kind of talk a little bit about what they mean. Can you do that?
Sure, absolutely. I started playing guitar and writing songs before I started visual art, actually. So, I take a hiatus once in a while, but I've been pretty consistent throughout about 45 years, I guess.
45
yeah.
years. Time goes on.
Maybe a bit more.
I remember you singing some pretty neat songs. There's one that, was it Mickey Mosquito?
Mickey Mosquito was an Indian kid from Onion Lake Reserve, and I think in 1970 it was, there was some sort of an anniversary for the RCMP. And during that year, 2 officers actually got shot. And at the same time, 4 Indian kids broke out of a correctional institute in Regina, stole a car, and it all got mixed up because the cops thought that they had the guy that killed the 2 RCMP officers. And at that time, I was really into folk songs, and like a lot of folk singers, even today, you look at the newspaper and you kind of, oh, there's a story that should be told. And actually the last verse is verbatim from what the paper reported the jury actually sang. So this is Mickey Mosquito. Out in Saskatchewan country, home of the RCMP, 4 Indian boys left Queen City, escaped from a jail there, you see. Grown tired of all white man's logic, it was like a malignant disease. They headed up north for the timbers, where a bird in the hand is worth 3. The authorities were all in a dither. They bellowed and were paranoid. 2 police were killed near the river, 200 miles away. So they watched all unusual movements, and their eyes spied an old stolen Ford. By God, there's our man, cried 2 Mounties. I'm by your side, screamed a third. They set up 3 roadblocks that morning. The killer would not get away. Then a Mountie radioed a warning. Cool it down, they're just boys. But the hired guns at the roadblocks set up outside Saskatoon, 5 bullets in the door so the tires would blow, by an act of God, I presume. Mickey Mosquito got shot in the heart with a bullet from a white constable. And later the coroner's jury said his action was justifiable. We the jury attach no blame to any authorities involved. Police action was at all times proper. Good judgment was used by all. Michael John Mosquito from Onion Lake Reserve. Yeah.
Beautiful and sad song. You know, when you sing it now, all these years later, does it resonate in terms of the?
For me, it resonates.
For reconciliation.
For me, it resonates even more. Yeah, it's just we're living in interesting times, and there's a lot of resolution that has to take place.
You know, you've accompanied social movements through your life, and then you've also, you know, you sing, you're a sculptor and you're an artist.
Yeah.
Where is the intersect between?
Oh, I don't know,
music
Don.
and song?
It's kind of hard to say. A lot of my themes are similar. I'm interested in peace, and a lot of my visual art reflects that. A lot of my source material comes from what's around me and different folks that do stuff in my own environment. Like in Saskatchewan, I'm really influenced by Saskatchewan artists and Saskatchewan songwriters, probably more so than those far away. You know? But I think it's a similar source. It's a similar feeling that I have to do things.
Well, you know, I mean, your art, your sculpture is kind of like pretty incredible. So, is it something you kind of dream yourself through it, and then it happens, or how do you work yourself towards a piece?
The same way that I write songs, actually. I just start out with some elements. If I'm doing a sculpture, I start out with some elements and start playing with them. I might have an idea, but I don't have the outcome in my head necessarily. Very, very rarely do I have the outcome in my head. On the other hand, my larger sculptures, I usually work from a maquette that's already been done. The idea's been done in a small scale, and then I enlarge it. So in that sense, I'm working from a specific idea. But the creation of the maquette, just like the creation of a song, comes as I stumble through it. You try stuff out. You try to throw a chord in somewhere, and it doesn't sound right, so you throw another chord in there, and then I'm very fussy about words in my songs. For me, they're really important, so I really play a lot around with a lot of words. If the word doesn't sound right, I change it. It's not just the rhyming thing, it's the content of the word.
You know, there's a couple that, because I live, you know, over in Newtown, so I see all the time. I've obviously seen a lot of your work on Broadway after that. But there's the one at Victoria School.
Yes, that's called Western Peace Wall.
Wow, yeah.
And my idea on that, I created two maquettes, Eastern Peace Wall and Western Peace Wall. And I enlarged the Western Peace Wall. And the concept was to kind of tear down this notion that we have to have barriers and boundaries and fences all around everything. It's called a peace wall because it's the wall is not solid. It's becoming disintegrated, and my kind of thinking on it was that if we didn't have countries, we probably wouldn't have wars. But we got countries, and as soon as we have a country, we put up. I mean, look at what's going on now with Trump.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, when you look at exactly when you
the walls.
And you know, we both grew up in the Cold War, and you know when we were told where the alarm, you know, they used to have the big sirens that teachers would tell us that we had to hide under the desk.
Sure,
and you just feel
terrible.
This coming back again.
Yeah,
One
terrible.
more hole in the wall.
Yeah. But we do that ourselves as people, as individuals.
Yeah.
We put walls up around ourselves, and we have a house. We put a fence around it, and sometimes that's necessary, and sometimes that's okay. But it's just the notion, you know. I was using it sort of in that sense.
The other one is going to, because I see it again all the time, is I call it the Prairie Harpsichord on Clarence, near the Albert Community Center.
Yeah, I call it pianoforte. But
Because I just imagine this harpsichord that sings the wind almost. Like
right. Well, that's another connection between my art and my music, because I've done a lot of music-related sculptures. I've got one actually as well on 20th right now, and it's related to jazz. So yeah, there's a common thread there. And in fact, I'd like to sing a song now called "Voices of Ire," because that was produced for a friend of mine who had an exhibition called Voices of Ire and requested that I write a song for it. He involved a lot of people in the show. And I had the tune. I had about 3 weeks to do it. The words didn't come until I saw this kid going by my window on a skateboard. Okay, if I sing that?
Just go for it.
Voices of Ire, voices of Ire, voices of Ire. Get out on the street, listen to the beat, music from the underground. Billy's on the street, green locks curly. He hates politicians, hates those ruling. He's the kind of guy that you might call surly, but he's not. Everything he sees makes him cringe and shudder, 'cause the world that he loves doesn't have a rudder, and it makes him kind of sad. We just don't bother sometimes. Hammers on the skateboard, flipping up the east side, downtown westbound with his friend Louise. They listen to the voices in the music and their hearts are on fire. Voices of Ire, voices of Ire, voices of Ire. Get out on the street, listen to the beat, music from the underground. Get out on the street, listen to the beat, music from the underground.
I remember that both those songs were.
You recorded that one before.
Oh yeah, we put it on the Spirit Rise album.
Yeah,
Yeah, people really liked it a lot. Just that energy of that, right?
yeah.
You know, it feels like, given what's going on with Trump and all that, the songs of peace are coming back. It seems like people are realizing how songs and music can re-energize and can make people think of something opposite to what Trump and people like him stand for. And it's interesting because that, in a way, that was a tradition that came out of the '60s.
Mm-hmm.
So that they called it protest music then, but I think now it's kind of rebuilding music and reclaiming the commons for all of us.
Right.
So do you have any particular peace song that you
Well,
like to sing?
I'd like to sing my own version of a peace song. I've written some peace songs. I've written kind of anti-war stuff. But more and more I'm realizing that to have true peace, you have to have peace within yourself. And I've got a couple of songs that are kind of related to that. But this one's called Dreams Inside. And it's not a protest song, but for me, it's about finding that peace inside yourself, which is important, I think. Feeling moody blues, one-way streets, avenues, what's inside your head make you wanna cry instead. There's a better time, find a better time, a better time ahead. Saturdays all alone, lonesome eyes on the phone, quietly like a dream gets inside, begging please, just leave your blues behind. Leave your blues behind, blues behind with me. Sometimes I can't lose, there ain't anything you couldn't do. Other times you gotta choose what it is you gotta do to keep your dreams inside. Inside, dreams inside with you.
Thank you.
I think it's important to feel at peace with yourself. I admire Tibetan monks and Buddhist cultures that do that. And I remember being an angry protester. And I think if you're grounded within yourself, you have a better chance. If you look at all of the leaders that really changed history, they had their feet in the ground. They were pretty firmly planted, and they didn't go off half-cocked. And, well, just something to keep in mind, I think.
Les, you've grown up on the prairies, and you live on the prairies, live on acreage that's right out there, and right on the flatness. You've seen that big old moon come up. Do you have any songs that relate to the living here?
To that kind of, let me see. Well,
Because I was going to recommend one if you could do it.
if I remember it.
The waltz.
Barney's Waltz?
Yeah, just a couple top.
I could maybe do it a little bit. I got a screwed up hand. I'm going to have an operation in a couple months.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can finger it, Don.
Okay, well, look at just a little bit.
But let's just see what happens.
Because it's these waltzes that waltz people all over the floors in Saskatchewan and other places.
That's Barney's Waltz.
Yeah, I wanted you to do it because, part of your music has linked into, what's happened in terms of what's
Oh yeah,
impact on the environment, on farm communities and all that. And Barney, was a person.
he was a neighbor,
a real person.
my dad and mom's
He-
best man at their wedding.
Yeah. And he was also part of the National Farmers Union.
Yes, he
right?
was.
And that was a very important organization to defend
Yeah.
the rights of farm communities. So,
Absolutely.
and I actually had used that in a film I did in the Farmers Union.
Yeah.
It's beautiful
Yeah.
as an underscore to some of the things that
Yeah.
were being done. So what else would you like to present to us today?
This is a song I wrote, a more recent one, and I'm not sure why it happened, and it just came about. It's called Better Than Ever. As we get older, Don, I think we start to wonder what's going to come after, And quite frankly, I can't quite wrap my head around a supreme being or anything like that. But some people do, and I think that's good. But I think heaven's on earth, and that's kind of the notion behind this song. Sometimes I wonder what's heaven like. Sometimes I wonder what's heaven like. Better than ever, better than ever, better than ever, I've been told. I met this woman from out west, working nights and biding time. I asked her how she found her quest, and she replied, better than ever, better than ever, better than ever. Then she cried. I want to paint pictures with blue. I want to paint pictures with blue. Better than ever, better than ever, better than ever with you. Sometimes I wonder what's heaven like.
That was a really nice song. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's when you look around right now, and which you can see, hey, I mean, by what you do, you show how important art and culture is to society, eh? But it seems like we're getting drifted more and more away from it. I mean, the sculpture pieces are out there, they're physical, you can see it. Songs you sing, you can hear it. But it almost feels like we're with social media, we're heading in another direction.
Yeah, it's a strange feeling. We were talking about this the other night about like kind of the whole political economic scene, the cultural scene. It's kind of like the 50s. You brought that up. But what's different about now than the 50s is the new media, the social media, and everybody knows it's good in the sense that you've got this communication system that can connect us instantly throughout the world. I'm not sure what that's going to mean with interpersonal relationships and how that's going to affect political movements. Both good and bad, I guess. I guess it's just another tool.
No, I was just thinking, like, we used to have the coffee houses, right?
Yeah.
And they were
I like
in this
those.
town, and I mean, they were, you know, it wasn't just for coffee, it was for music
Getting together.
and talk, right?
Yeah.
People in a very social circle.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, and I think it's happening, that people are going to start to do that again.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a turn towards that. I think it's sort of there, and I mean, I think your songs contribute to that, along with others who really say, look, we have to sing about who we are,
Right.
what kind of world we want to see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you a lot for being here.
Well, you're very, very
I'm gonna
welcome.
ask you to do a song on our way out, and then I'll
Oh,
close
sure.
it at the end.
What shall I do? I'm going to do one that I wrote just recently called I Just Want to Be With You. I just want to hold you close and to never let you go. Just to be within the presence of your skin. And I never want to leave again, and I'll always want you so. To feel the silence of your beauty deep within. You can say I'm a dreamer, or you can say I'm just a fool. But I can't help it, what you do to me. Now I just wanna be with you.
Thank you for being with us.
You're very welcome, Don.
This is Making Leaks Radio, radio with a social conscience. And Les Potter is our special guest.
Great.
That was